Yes, so can we please welcome our panel of I'm guessing we have some missing panelists who should be along shortly.
So I guess a really obvious first question, you guys have already been introduced, don't worry, is I guess what do you guys do personally in your everyday lives to be an effective altruist, I suppose, is a good place to start. Joe, look at the mic.
Yeah, so first I just want to say I want this to be like a discussion where you guys are definitely participating in the poll thing.
Yeah, we've got the poll thing on here.
We don't know anything more about being an EA than anyone else. I think the idea of this is to kind of be a bit of a conversation about it. But so for me, I pledged with Giving What We Can in 2014. And I think that motivated me to try and find other people that were interested in effective altruism. So me and my partner founded an EA group in Perth with one other person that was there in Perth at the time on the Effective Altruism Hub website, which I'm not sure if actually many people use, but we found it a really useful resource, so people should really check it out. And then, yeah, so pledging my 10%, donating that, and then attending, obviously, EA Melbourne events now that we're here in Melbourne, and I've been doing a bit of work with the Life You Can Save organisation as well.
Yeah, I second the Giving What We Can pledge, but I haven't used the EA Hub. I think one of the biggest impacts you can make in everyday life is just talking to other people about it, because if you can convince someone else to be as effective as you are, then that's doubling your impact essentially. And the other thing obviously is to actually follow up on the Giving What We Can pledge.
I see my role as just sort of finding my place as partly about just being a part of the community, encouraging people, using sort of what skills and personal sort of encouragement I have to be able to help people along or just help people feel a part of things. I've taken the pledge. I haven't been donating a lot because at this point of my life I'm not really in a position to it's something that years ago was I was in a very different situation, and I gave significant amounts of money to charities that I thought were as effective, like the most effective I could find at that point. But we're talking back in the 90s. There was no EA. I certainly wasn't connected with anyone who was like-minded. So for me, I feel like wow, I made a bunch of decisions back then that that affected my life going forward, financial and career decisions, where it's like, I really see the impact of that now. And I didn't have support, I didn't have anything remotely like EA. So it makes me appreciate, if there was someone in a similar situation today, it'd be wonderful to have that kind of support around. So I really see the value of that. Because the things that would have multiplied my impact greatly. So now I kind of think, well, maybe I can multiply my impact through helping other people in this sort of context. Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, great. Hi, this is Claire. Come on in, Claire. So the question was, what are some of the easiest ways?
Sorry for interrupting. Can I have you sit at this end? Because the cameras won't cover you right down there.
That's really good.
Perfect. Thank you. Sorry, thank you.
Sorry to drop in at Claire, but yes, what are some of the easiest ways that you find to be an effective altruist in your everyday life?
Okay, I don't really identify as an effective altruist because I think there's always room to be more effective, but the thing that I enjoy most is making donations, because even if they're small in the scheme of things, it just feels really good to be able to have an immediate impact. And to know, especially with Give Well charities, you know that it's a thoroughly vetted, well-researched way to impact people. And every person that you affect matters. So even if you're only affecting a few, it still gives you that warm glow that people seek. But it's in an evidence-based way, so it's for a good reason, hopefully.
Great, perfect. Okay, so kind of coming back to the idea of community building, discussing effective altruism with people who aren't effective altruists or don't really understand it at all can be quite difficult. That's something I've experienced. I don't know, other people in the audience might have experienced this too. do you have any tips or tricks about the best ways to introduce it? And maybe some obstacles that you've encountered when trying to introduce it to other people you've learnt from? Anyone can take away.
I think having read a few effective altruism books is really handy because they introduce a lot of concepts which you can use. So, for example, thought experiments like the pond analogy that Peter Singer talks about is a really good way of engaging people in a thought experiment and seeing how they feel and then trying to relate it to real life and trying to help them realize that the pond analogy is very similar to real life, and so they've got the ability to do something right now. And if they're consistent, then they will. The other way is to engage them before that in the trolley problem, because that's just more fun and perhaps less useful, but nonetheless interesting.
Yeah, so obviously there is a lot of issues with the way we try and frame, the way we talk about effective altruism, but there's also a lot of resources that are already out there on this topic. So the Effective Altruism blog, the Life You Can Save website, the Giving What We Can website, they all have articles about how to talk about EA. And so there's advice on like, you know, knowing who your audience is, putting your personal aspect into it. So like often when I'm talking to people, it's because they've asked, because oh, I'm going to this thing this weekend, oh, what's effective altruism? I can't even pronounce that. So I frame it as something that, oh, this is something that I really like doing and I find interesting, and having like a 30-second elevator pitch, right? Like something that you can say to people that gets the key ideas across, but says it in like, not a, this is what I think you should be doing, but in a, this is what I find as a really cool thing to do. And if they're interested, then they can ask more questions and you can kind of frame the discussion from there. I just wanted to say for like the second part of the question, like difficulties in discussing it. I found a lot of situations where you think people have completely ignored you and not picked up on anything that you've said, or in fact have actually been kind of douchey about it. Or like they're judging you, they think you're judging them, they think you're just like goody two-shoes or whatever. But then those same people have actually, in the future, I found out that things I've said have made a difference. So I got donated bed nets for my birthday from someone that I thought was like completely judging me and thought I was stupid for doing this. So like don't be discouraged by reactions that you initially get. Like it takes people time. I'm sure for some people, like it clicks straight away, right, and you get it, and maybe most of us are like that, but for some people it's not going to be like that, and we really need to accept that.
Yeah, I definitely agree with Kieren. Summarised it really well. Yeah, and like bringing it up naturally as well, like when they ask you, it works really well because if you just talk to random people about it, they probably won't appreciate it. But if they're asking you out of curiosity, then it's coming from a place of they're actually more likely to take on the information.
Yeah, all great points. Something I don't have a particular pitch or anything, but I'll often mention like the community. That I find it's a really encouraging bunch of people who like are smart and they care, and I really appreciate them, even if they're mostly 20-something years younger than me. And I do sometimes get a negative reaction, but I suppose because I just sort of talk about it quite casually. When I get a negative reaction, it's generally people who've heard about it elsewhere, like they might have sort of read something or been to a talk or whatever. And maybe it was the way it was presented, or maybe it was just their own story that led them to react in that way. But whether it's good or bad, the approach that I've taken sometimes is to say that, well, I'm not saying that you can't do this other thing. At least I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that every charity has to be perfectly effective. Like maybe you really care about something and you want to do that. I'm not going to say that that's bad. I might say that I'll commit 10% of my income to effective charities, but then something else pulls at my heart, and I love this sort of sustainability project. I love that you've written this book about rainwater catchment, as a friend did. Amazing book, and it's impacting lots of people. Maybe GiveWell wouldn't give it their top rating, but it's still a great book that is helpful to people. So yeah, you know, I'll chip in something to the fundraiser, and so I think having a little bit more openness in and encouraging them to see it as a more open, more like we're bringing something else to the table rather than you're wrong for liking puppies or something.
Okay, great. I guess another common issue that you can have when you're new to EA is feelings of pretty intense guilt and some other quite negative emotions about having fun or spending money on anything other than helping the global poor or things like that. What do you think people can do to sort of mitigate that? What thoughts do you have that sort of help you to not get down and burned out and sort of stop engaging with it altogether because it's too hard? You like to start there?
I don't like guilt, haven't found it useful, and I sort of deliberately given myself permission that, I need certain things, I need to have a life.
Yeah, I think one thing that's been mentioned by other effective altruists is rather than trying to commit a certain proportion of their income or trying to be thrifty to the ultimate, is to commit at the start of the year how much you're going to give and then just give away everything above that and spend the amount you've allocated on whatever you want so that it reduces your guilt at the checkout. Yeah, something else on that.
Yeah, well, I think that's the Julia Wise blog, Giving Gladly, gets referenced a lot in the space when people are talking about like guilt, and for her it was like, can I spend money on ice cream? Should I have children? Like, but it's definitely like we need to be realistic. And I wanted to mention here that like yesterday when Leon was saying he felt like he didn't identify as an EA because he was encouraging people to like follow the heart and not the head. I'm like, the heart's supposed to be part of it as well. We're not, like Peter Singer didn't say everyone has to be completely perfect in their ethical lives, It's about being realistic and doing what we can, not doing everything in the world. We can't solve everything and we will burn out if we try to do that. And I think it's about accepting that everyone else here knows that, right? Like none of us are expecting each other to be perfect. I'm not going to judge you if you don't donate anything, right? Like if you're here, that's enough. If you have that, what William McCaskill was talking about, that same broad framework of I want to do good and I want to find a way that I can at least do it slightly better, I think that's enough. And I think we shouldn't be trying to push ourselves or each other to do more than that, or expect the community, that's how we're going to get people in, is saying that this is this broad thing. I don't know if everyone agrees with that, but yeah.
I definitely agree with what everyone said so far. Yeah, really, like especially the Julia Wise advice on Giving Gladly is really good. And I think that you can also make utilitarian arguments for that as well, because we're doing as much good as we can, and we are humans, and humans have certain needs. So you need to fulfill those needs to be able to do good sustainably. So that's how I justify it, rationalize it in my head.
Sorry, can I say one more thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just with trying to promote effective altruism as well, if you're constantly being guilt-tripped and sad, then you're not going to be able to promote effective altruism very well because you're not going to be happy. And people will look at you and think, why do I want to live like that? And so really, you've got to try to live a life that everyone else can see, oh, I could do that too.
I just want to really quickly reference the TED Talk by Beth
Barnes.
Yes. I find that really encouraging, just really encouraging that if, the top
10%
gave 10% of their income, like we could do all these, we could cure
everything,
and we'd solve global poverty in the first year and have money left over for a couple of Mars missions. It's like, okay, so maybe, like, I'm not going to solve all of this myself, but if I'm aiming to give 10% and I encourage other people and I help the movement to be the place that people want to be, that's what I'd like to see happen.
If anyone hasn't watched that, watch it.
Yes.
And share it.
Yeah, definitely.
I guess on that topic, I've got a question from the audience. What percentage of your income do you donate or try to donate, and what variables do you believe should be taken into account to influence that percentage? Anyone like to take that one?
At the moment, I'm just at the Giving What We Can pledge of 10%, and at that level it's sustainable and I'm able to accumulate wealth for the future because Smashed avocados have stopped me so far. Yeah, that's pretty much it. No variables affected.
So I took the Giving Away Can pledge as well in 2015, and I haven't calculated my percentage for the most recent year yet. But the first 2 years I was, well, it worked out to over 40%, I think maybe 50%. But that's because I just live very cheaply. Yeah.
Okay, this is another really interesting one from the audience too. What are your criticisms of EA and its current direction?
It's not big enough.
It's not exactly related to the topic.
Should be
but still.
mainstream.
Okay, I guess one thing that it becomes quite obvious, I guess, at conferences and definitely trying to read blogs and stuff is terminology. So I'm not a philosopher, I can't even say that word. I only discovered utilitarianism through this movement, and I find a lot of the time people make a lot of assumed knowledge, and I mean, obviously, we need to have some assumed level of knowledge, or we're always just going to be doing intro to EA talks, which is going to get us nowhere. But I think we just need to be conscious of when we're talking to other people that aren't EAs, or people that maybe haven't been in the movement for that long, that we're not making assumptions that they understand all the trolley problems or all the different types of utilitarianism, and I don't even know all the words that I'm supposed to be saying right now. But, I think that that's probably a pretty big criticism, because when we were talking about diversity in EA, that's probably something that is making people feel less included within the movement.
I'm not sure I can answer those.
I'd say I don't really have criticisms. I do notice that the target is very much on recruiting people in their 20s, like early career or at university, and I agree with that focus. I do wonder if it's possible to to have some smaller programs that target like successful business people, and I'd be interested in that myself as someone who's maybe at the right age of people who've been more focused than I have. I've been sort of more of the eternally distracted Walter Mitty type, having interesting experiences through life, whereas there'll be other people that I would get along quite comfortably with who have built multi-million-dollar businesses and have income and want to make a difference but aren't aware of EA, or maybe don't feel haven't been recruited. Just a thought.
I guess this kind of relates to that. It's possible that not all people who do subscribe to effective altruist ideas are in a position to either earn to give or to work in an EA-aligned organisation. What do you suggest that they do, aside from those two things? Like, what would you suggest that they do to identify the excess capital they have that could be invested into the movement?
I think there's probably a lot of options that would be worth exploring, and maybe coming on to EA things, maybe we can sort of explore things with them, or maybe it's just being a part of things for a while and talking to other people and seeing what comes up, being open to possibilities.
Depending on how much time they've got available and who their friends are and who they can influence, trying to be persuasive is something interesting to me at least, and so reading up on how to be persuasive and getting to be familiar with EA concepts so you can communicate them could be really effective.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. That talking to people is really good, but talking to people within the movement as well. Like, I find it really valuable to go to the Life You Can Save meetings that we have every month, and there might be people there that aren't donating much and can't volunteer that much of their time. But having that emotional support of people that you can talk to that know about effective altruism, and that you can have like meaningful discussion with that are different from, you go out for coffee with your friends and they're all talking about the online shopping that they did, and I'm like, okay, this is nice, but I want people that understand what I care about, and I want to be able to have those conversations with other people who get it. And I think that people should really value themselves as those people that can provide emotional support.
Yeah, definitely agree. And there's also, if people are wanting to do direct work without working for an EA organisation, there's also a list of volunteering opportunities that got posted on the EA forum under volunteering opportunities in EA or a title like that recently, so they could look that up as well.
Great, yeah, awesome. So kind of taking it back to what most people spend most of their days doing, which is working. If you're working in a non-EA aligned organisation, do you have any ideas about how people could bring those values to the organisation and potentially as a way to grow the movement, or even just make their organisation more effective generally? Any ideas?
One way that I'm at a research institute at the moment, and they have people from other disciplines come in every Friday, second fortnight. Every one Friday a fortnight. One time we just ran a giving game, and so lots of people found out about 4 different charities that they wouldn't otherwise have found out about. So that's one way. And then there are other people who get their institution or their organisation they work for to do corporate giving or like matching campaigns. So someone based in a consulting firm in Brisbane has successfully made all the charities that they match for give well recommended charities. So that was pretty cool to hear about.
That's really cool. So another thing is probably around the animal ethics sides of things. So within my workplace, we are a little bit EA aligned. I work with disease mitigation, but me and some of the other people that I work with have been trying really hard to make sure that there's a really big push for having this meet at catered events that we run at through my institute, and not using plastic and water bottles and all that sort of stuff. So like promoting sustainability and less meat eating within the workplace.
I think doing popular fundraising activities. So, for example, in the youth movement, at least, then there's the refugee challenge, Act for Peace. So you can, for example, do that challenge and then raise money for an EA organisation and put like a little bowl in your office and try to get donations that way. And it might also inspire a conversation about that charity and why you're interested in doing this challenge to raise money for them. So it's an opportunity to evangelise as well, if we can use that word.
I suppose for a completely different perspective, maybe get a different job. I'm not saying you should do this, but just put that as one of the options on the table, like do some creative career planning. Go, well, what if I did? What have I learned at the current career? Like think in terms of career capital. What am I learning? What additional skills could I develop in my current role that would enable me to do something else? That would enable me to move within the organisation? That would enable me to have more influence, that would enable me to go and do a different kind of role. So, yeah, doing some broader planning around career development.
This is an interesting question. Kind of relates to work. Do you think that an effective altruist can ever retire?
I've never contemplated that. I don't know what that would mean. Like, I wouldn't be giving up my values, so I still identify as sort of, like I don't like calling myself a small e, a effective altruist, because I'm probably, I could be much more effective, but as a member of the community, as someone with these values, I'm not going to retire, and that will always be true.
So just to sort of clarify that, I guess you would consider maybe like earning to give or working in an organisation that you're trying to do it that way, more promoting it through the community.
For example. Like supporting the community or just identifying the way. That's because earning to give
figuring out what that capital is that you've got. Earning to give doesn't define. Definitely doesn't defining it either. But absolutely, that's great.
Yeah, I think given that we're giving ourselves concessions for spending money when we don't need to, I think retiring is not out of the question.
If it's about your... I agree with Chris that you probably would never... You might change the way in which you're aspiring to... I'm always aspiring to be more effective in my efforts to be altruistic, and that's going to continue throughout my life. So if I'm lucky enough to get old enough that I'm less effective, I'll still be trying until I die.
Okay, so the current top question is, what sort of habits do you find make you most effective every day?
mean, I think that since becoming part of the EA movement, it's maybe not active habits that I've been trying to change, but just the fact that it's changed my mindset and the way I think about things has probably had quite a bit of impact on the way I interact with people, on the way I think about things, on the way I value my time, definitely on the way I value my money. So yeah, I think I personally haven't like actively thought about habits that I have in my everyday, but I'm pretty certain that there would be things that have changed just from those mindsets changing.
Don't think I have any productivity hacks for you guys, sorry.
A good night's sleep. I think like personal stuff has a huge impact on how I can encourage others or get my own financial life more in order and sort of expand the impact that I have through my work. And so yeah, on a personal level, like one of the things I've really put attention to lately with some personal challenges I've gone through is just this idea of radical acceptance, that like not sort of grudgingly accepting and grumbling, but you know, this is the way things are, and really embracing that. I find that there's more to that, but I find that kind of freeing and enables me to sort of let go of the rumination and that sort of thing, and actually give my attention to the person I'm speaking to, or making time to connect with other EA people or whatever.
Great. So this is kind of comes back because obviously you're all advocates for donating a percentage of your income. What are your thoughts on sort of saving up a bit of a runway so you can feel financially secure, and maybe delaying starting those donations, or even saving up something to invest in education or something like that, as opposed, and sort of delaying starting that process of giving some of your income? What are your thoughts on that?
I very strongly support that. I mean, I'm in a situation where I've had health issues that have affected me and affected my ability to sort of have the financial buffer that any sensible person, not that I'm always being sensible, but that a sensible person would have, and so I have delayed at the moment. I've given years ago, but at the moment it's like, well, I've made the pledge, but I think it would be foolish to not have financial security.
I guess, although there's going to be problems in the future which we can donate to even if we save up our money, there is the potential multiplying effect of giving now. But I think as a young person it does make a lot of sense. But I think taking the pledge is really important because it's not just beliefs that change your behaviour, it's behaviour which changes to belief. So donating keeps you in the community, keeps you thinking, yes, I'm an effective altruist, I do care about these issues.
Yeah, I agree, but it's probably dependent on every person's situation, right? Like for me, pledging was really easy because I discovered EA my first year out of university, so it was my first year with like a real world job and actually having money, so I didn't feel like I was losing anything. It was just, I still had way more money than I'd ever had to spend before in my life. Obviously for some people that's not going to be the situation, or if you're trying to save up to do more study or something like that, then your allocation of funds, maybe just do the 1%. Like, so giving what we can pledge, 10% is huge. We should all be really like amazed and proud of ourselves that we can do that and that people want to do that. But like the life you can save has like the sliding scale, right? So based on your income, if you're earning a little bit less, then you donate a little bit less. But I think doing even just something little to, like Kieren said, keep you committed to being part of the movement, make yourself maybe feel like you're making some sort of contribution and coming along to all the like EA events and stuff.
Sorry guys, I'm just going to need to interrupt. We do need to wrap up to our next session, so we might just have to end there. We've got something very, very brief to say.
No, I definitely agree. Like that your beliefs will then be affected by your actions, and the same with your actions are affected by your beliefs, and that over time, if you remain committed to donating, then you will strengthen your priorities. And like coming back to the efficiency question as well, I think the best efficiency hack is just deciding what your priorities are, and then just allocating time according to that. Then, if you're donating over time, you'll realise that's a priority, and it will stay a priority throughout your life.
Thank you guys so much, everybody.